Thank you very much indeed, Madam Mayor, and thank you to those that have made deputations this evening, and also to all of those who have taken a part in this consultation and community governance review, whether it's the residents and businesses within Funtley, and indeed the officers of this council who have put a tremendous amount of work into what is something new for Fareham. It's not the first time that parish council requests have been made in Fareham, and of course parish councils did exist in Fareham until 1932, but it is the first time that we've carried out a community governance review. And I think the important thing to note about that review is that it is a consultation, and it is designed to help the council understand the views of residents in Funtley, residents and businesses, people who live there and work there. It's not a referendum, and I'm pleased that the deputies now seem to have understood that fact. It's not a referendum, and there is in fact no such thing as a binding referendum for anything other than council tax. And in fact, I'll just touch in these introductory remarks on the comment which was made about controlled or uncontrolled council tax precepts for parish councils. What is actually meant by that is that if a district council or a county council wants to put up its council tax, it is limited by statute in what it may do. For a district council, we are only allowed to increase our council tax by 2% without a referendum, which is a binding referendum. The only exception to that is if your council tax is one of the absolute lowest in the country, like ours is, and then we were permitted a council tax increase of up to £5 per year. So that is what is meant. Perhaps uncontrolled or controlled is a slightly clumsy term, but what it actually means is that parish councils can increase their council tax without limit. District councils and county councils cannot, without holding a binding referendum. And in fact, in the report which I'm presenting to members, there are a couple of appendices on that very subject. It's probably the last thing I'll say about council tax, but Appendix E looks at the council tax precepts for some local parish councils within Hampshire. And you can see, in fact, the very first on the list, Swanmore Parish Council, £120-something a year. In fact, that is actually higher than the council tax that Fareham Borough Council applies, let alone what a parish may apply. The following appendix actually looks at our nearest parish council, which is Whiteley Parish Council. And just an example there, looking at which I think probably illustrates the point quite well about how council tax in a parish can increase, and you can see the size of those increases over the last 5 years, whether they be 24%, 47%, or whatever it may be. So that's what's meant in terms of the comments in this report on council tax. But as I said, what the community governance review is not is a ballot or a referendum on what should actually happen, but indeed there are a number of means within that consultation exercise for us to better understand the views, so that we, as the people who are elected to govern the district of Fareham, can best make the decision on the basis of that. So, as has been stated, 75% of residents expressed the wish to have a parish council of those that took a part in that first stage of the consultation. So basically what happened, there was a petition presented to us. That's what kicked off the community governance review. From memory, I think that was signed by more than half of the residents within Funtley. So on the basis of that, we kicked off the governance review. Then we had another consultation where 75% of the residents that took part in that expressed their views on it. So we had 230 respondents, I think it was, out of the 585 that were written to, and we had the result from that, which was about 30% of the total, said that they would like a parish council. And then, of course, we had a further consultation. We had a community action team meeting in Funtley that was attended by around 20 local residents who, again, were able to ask questions and discuss the matter. And then, of course, when the officers came to a view, and I hasten to add that we do not have a recommendation before us this evening. And if you read your papers here, that is what we need to decide now. There isn't a recommendation from the officers, but what the officers put to local residents was their view that they felt the council should not form a parish council for Funtley. And that triggered, I think it was 30, and just over 30 residents out of the 585 wrote back to the council and said, we don't agree with that, which is about 5%, I think, of the residents. So what I'm very conscious of, if nothing else, is a steady waning in the support for a parish council in Funtley. And that is what we need to assume from the figures, because that is what is before us. Every resident in Funtley received a letter from the Borough Council saying this is what we believe is the way that we should proceed, and that is to take no action. All of them were able to write back. 30 wrote back and said they felt that that was the wrong thing to do. In terms of the recommendation, which is before members, or rather isn't, the recommendation which is written here asks us to note the results of the consultation, which the representations received, which is fairly simple, and then it asks us to consider the contents of that report and approve one of the following options. And there are three options in there. There's either make no change to the existing governance arrangements, or to establish a parish and form a parish council, or to establish a parish and form a parish meeting. And I take on board the letter which we had from the Funtley Village Society, pointing out that, of course, we have not consulted the residents of Funtley on the concept of a parish meeting. Now, that's not to say that's not something that we could decide to do this evening, but I don't think we should. I think they're right to point out that as we didn't consult the residents on that, we can't therefore assume from that that the residents of Funtley would wish to have a parish meeting. We know that 32 of them don't like the recommendation that the officers were preparing to make, but we certainly can't extrapolate that they would wish to have a parish meeting set up. So those are the three possible views that we can come to this evening. And of course we've had feedback, we've had letters. I'm sure a number of us have had individual letters as well. We've had them from the Hampshire Association of Local Councils, we've had them from Funtley Village Society, and certainly I've had letters and phone calls from other residents in Funtley giving a variety of views on what it is that they would wish to see happen as a result of this. And I hasten to add that I have looked at all of the representations which have been made in detail, and also all of the paperwork which has appeared from whoever, from whatever source. The government guidance is clear, and it does give unfettered discretion to the district council as to what it is that it feels should be done as a result of the community governance review. I've covered the decisions that we could come to and the options which are there. And one of the key things is about community cohesion. And I've worked in the executive role I had within the county council for a few years with many parish councils right across Hampshire. And there are some excellent parish councils there. So I have no issues with the principle of parish councils whatsoever. And so there are some very good ones, and I've seen some crises in certain villages, flooding particularly, a flood action committee manned by the parish council, and the tremendous work they've done. So I've got no issue with the principle of parish councils, but I am not convinced that there is an overwhelming support as a result of the community governance review within Funtley to create a parish council. And when you create a parish council, you create a parish council bill. So we would be asking everybody to be a part of that parish council and that billing process, despite the fact that a very small number in the final analysis, when we put views to them as to what it was this council might do, actually supported it. So I think community cohesion will be best served by not creating a parish council within funding. And therefore, Madam Mayor, the proposal which I make to members is that we make no change to the existing governance arrangements.